Hello, hello! David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. Welcome everyone to the stream. It is awesome to be back. Jeez, get my cords organized here. I can see we've got Logan on the stream, as well as Ricardo and the GBO. Oh, we got some pretty cool characters. I'm an orc with the sailor hat. Logan is an orc with a beard. Jeez. Oh, thanks, Logan. I'm also into the new logo. I haven't gotten it everywhere yet, and I still want to like mess with it a bit. But yeah, I'm excited. Like the little face character in the O, I want to like animate and make like a little game with him. I think that'd be awesome. The GBO is also rocking a sailor hat and what looks like some purple armor. Ricardo's got the witch hat, a shield. We got a lot of orcs today. That's 3 orcs versus 1 human. You better look out, the GBO. We're coming for you. That sort of had like a pro wrestling vibe there. I shouldn't do that. Let's not do that again. So how's everybody doing? What you guys been up to? Any progress on your games, your game dev stuff? Anyone playing anything cool? For my part, like, I haven't done any like personal game dev since the last stream. There's been like some personal issues, situations going on that meant that I haven't been able to do anything that someone isn't paying me for. So I've done a little bit of game dev, but not like this project or anything that I'm real into. And for some reason, I started playing GTA 5 again. I had like this random conversation with my wife last week, and I was like, GTA 5. I played a little bit of that, but otherwise, like, not much has been going on with me. Hopefully, you guys have been having a better last 2 weeks. We had the 4th of July here in the U.S. I got to see my pa. That was cool. Yeah. Well, if nobody's got anything, let's talk about this project. Let's talk about what we're going to be working on. Ooh, the GBO is doing good. Make a network game called Sandboxinator. Ooh, cool. I am intrigued. Is it a sandbox game, or is it a game that features an actual sandbox, like the sort that kids play in, and me too with my kids? Curious to hear what that is. As far as networking too, because like networking is my thing. Anything you can say about how you're doing the networking? I'm just curious for like the 1-sentence version. Since we've talked a lot about like rollback and Nakama, and ooh, it's a building game. Okay, cool. I like building games. As we're doing this Voxel Builder game, I'm building is good. Oh, cool. You're rocking out with Unity. We're gonna be Godotting it up today. Oh yeah, okay. Anything that can introduce physics into multiplayer is frequently very interesting, very hard. I mean, depending on how you're implementing it, but yeah. All right, so the project that we're doing today is a VR Voxel Builder game built in Godot. I will show you the game as it is when it's working very briefly, and then I will show you how it is totally broken right now based on the stuff that we did last week. I actually spent maybe an hour yesterday getting it kind of working again, so we're at a decent starting place, and We'll go from there. The GBO says the physics is server side. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one way to do it. You then have like potentially the physics being a little laggy or the predictions being kind of weird. There's challenges in every approach, right? Doing the physics server side versus client side. In my most recent network game that I've been working on, I actually had to make a custom deterministic physics engine so that we could do the physics client side and have it always be the same on all the clients. Anyway, I'm going to put on this headset, and I'm going to show you guys a thing, mostly for people who might be new here. So yeah, give me a second. All right, I had to set it up here. Now let me go through the different menus that I got to go through in order to get you guys seeing my screen. Or seeing my eyeball. It's not really a screen, is it? I think it's the left eye that gets cast to the computer, so you guys get to stand in for my left eyeball. Mouse pointer, where are you? All right, in theory, you guys are seeing this. All right, so let's go to a new place, get a little bit away here. The basic idea is you build things with voxels. So here I have this brush tool. I can place a bunch of voxels. I can change the color to one of these 16 colors. At some point, I'll add a color wheel. There's two tools, the brush tool and the shape tool. I intend to add more tools before release. And the thing that makes this game unique, we'll put unique in air quotes because I don't know if there is another game that does this, but it makes it different than, I guess, the majority of voxel builder things in that we build the voxels themselves out of smaller voxels. And the voxels that we can use are a number of different shapes. It's not just cubes. I don't know if I'll keep that. It'll need some more testing to see if like having this different shape voxels actually is worth all the extra trouble that comes with it. We'll do my classic here. I'll build a little flower. I just like building flowers. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Let's make a sort of wavy shaped one here. This might be like a weed. We could do like that kind of, what's that flower that kind of looks like a poof ball thing? Those spiky plants that put kind of like a poof ball on the top. Maybe, doesn't quite look like it. But that's okay. We'll come back out of here, and now we have in our palette this new voxel, and we can place it wherever we want. The idea being that we should be able to quickly switch between creating and placing voxels. The voxels that you can place can actually get quite large. They can be up to, all right, let's get this one, up to 4 blocks in every direction, with the idea that you could make bigger things like furniture, like a refrigerator, or oop, I just hit some keys on my keyboard. Is the stream still going? I hope so. All right. But yeah, the main problem, not the main problem, there's a lot of problems, but one of the problems preventing me from getting this out to players to see what's going on is that the performance is pretty bad because we are not doing any kind of meshing. Basically, we're just instancing each of the individual blocks as their own meshes in the scene. Each individual mesh leads to a draw call, which adds up to tens of thousands of draw calls once you place enough blocks. Here we can, let's, I'll place this ugly weird thing a lot of times, see what that does. Frame rate's dropping. But you place enough things and the frame rate will get really low. So we're going to implement meshing, which is basically taking the individual voxels, and rather than having a separate mesh for each of them to combine them into single meshes, we're not doing anything super sophisticated. Like we're not going to do greedy meshing, at least not right now, because I do just want to get this out to people to play. But we're going to do where we combine them all into one mesh and try to remove hidden faces. So like if you have let's start a new world here because the frame rate's messing with me. So if you have a block like here and a block like here, there's this face that's invisible that's between them. It's in fact 4 faces because it's 4 triangles, 2 triangles on this one, 2 triangles on that one, and we can just take those out, just forget them. So that was what we were implementing on the last stream. That's what we're going to continue implementing this time, hopefully with a little bit more success. All right, I will show you in the desktop version how this is currently totally busted. All right, gotta stop rolling my chair over my microphone cord. So what's been going on in chat, folks? Hey, Boss MB Gaming, welcome to the stream. What kind of character? Ooh, the GBO is stuck on the top of the screen. And let's see what Boss MB got. Boss MB, oh, you got like a... I would say this is probably... You're probably a gladiator, because I don't think anyone else goes around in armored shoulder pads, shorts, and no shirt than gladiators. But looking pretty good. You've evened out the human to orc ratio a little bit. The GBO talking about his online multiplayer game. The easiest way I found is just doing the physics interacting with server-side player representations, and then the movement is client-sided since it's not a competitive game. Yeah, from what I know, voxel games like Minecraft use chunks and meshes, combine them to remove hidden faces and optimize performance. Yep, that is exactly what we're going to do, but the simplest way that will achieve our goal of getting players to play the game, to test it, because like I'm just not that confident yet about the game design here. It needs to get some more use. Like even I haven't even personally been able to use it that much because I'll use it for like 5 minutes and then I'll have enough stuff in there that I can't anymore because the frame rate's gone to 10 FPS. So this really needs some improvements to get us to that stage, to push the design forward. So what we have from last time is so you can already tell this is busted. It's only drawing a single, or actually I think it's drawing two faces, two very weird faces. You can't see that one when we're facing this way because we're using, what is that culling called? The kind of culling where you cull faces that aren't pointed at you. And if I place it, it appears in almost the right location with the wrong color, and it's a total mess. This sort of angled face, too, is really throwing me off. Because what face is that supposed to be? Like, what is that? That face doesn't exist. Yeah, so there's definitely something going wrong here. If you guys remember from last time, we started creating this new class, the Mesh Optimizer, which is basically looping over each of the voxels, finding what the neighbors are of the voxels and setting these bit flags, and then asking that voxel type to add itself to the mesh given these neighbors and this position. Is this game that you're making multiplayer? It is gonna be. Online multiplayer games is kind of my thing, so I'm definitely gonna put multiplayer in here for multiplayer building, and then there's gonna be just like a chill and hang out with your friends in this place that you built mode. Maybe we'll put some simple like mini games in there or something. Shoot each other, whatever. But yeah, let's dig in here. So we have this voxel type, add voxel mesh. That's where the interesting stuff is going. We have a bunch of different voxel type classes. This one is the mesh voxel type class, which basically it's just a voxel that is a mesh. We have a couple others, like one that's a scene, and I swear there's one other. Oh yeah, so and a voxel type that is a voxel object. That's how we get the blocks made of smaller blocks thing. So, in here, we are attempting to check like the bit flags and copy particular faces from the mesh on the voxel type into the new mesh that we're building, the chunk mesh. We can call them chunks, I guess. I don't know. We'll call them something. And it's not exactly working in that. I'm trying to do this where, okay, so I'm thinking for these mesh voxel types, we'll have a map somewhere that takes like the faces by their index within the mesh, and we'll say these, faces, hide them if these particular bits are set. And that way we'll be able to have a different kind of setup for the square voxels, the sort of slanty voxels, because there's the one that's, like sliced diagonally in half. And then in the add voxel mesh part here, we would, loop over whatever this mapping is and say, okay, we're going to copy these faces in this condition. Something is definitely wrong in that this second copy face for face number 1 is grabbing a face that just doesn't exist. Like, this isn't a valid face. Diagonal, like, this face doesn't exist anywhere. That diagonal one doesn't exist anywhere in the original mesh. So something's going totally wrong. There's also just like some positioning issue that we got to figure out. But I want to get the faces right. We can figure out why they're not in exactly the spot they're supposed to be. Actually, you know what it looks like? It looks like the cursor is in the wrong spot. I bet the meshes are being placed in the right spot, and it's the cursor that's wrong. Totally bet that's what's happening here. Anyway, the faces. We're working on the faces first. So let's look at this code. We are using Godot's mesh data tool to extract the data from the mesh, and I'm definitely doing something wrong here. Let's get up the docs for mesh data tool. Was that docs.godot engine? No, not latest. Stable. Okay. Mesh data tool. Do you think it is easier to use GDScript or C# with Godot? It's easier for sure to use GDScript in that you don't have to compile anything, you don't have to set up any extra tooling. It just works. It allows you to iterate really fast. C# in Godot, though, is really good. I do really enjoy C# as a language, and for things that reach a certain level of complexity, I will dig into C#, but I will still mix in some GDScript. So in Godot, all the different languages that can work in Godot, they can interact with each other. So you could have some part of your game in C#, some part in GDScript, some part in Python or Rust or C++ or whatever, all of the different language bindings. And they can call methods and access properties on, the classes that are defined in the different languages. So what I'll tend to do with C# is I'll take whatever thing has reached this level of complexity and implement just that in C#, but still implement like the UI stuff in GDScript just because it's so much easier, and UI is such a pain, and all you're doing is like connecting things, right? GDScript all the way, says Logan. C# in Unreal has me missing it. Or C++, said C#. I don't know. I quite like doing C++ with Godot, especially when you're doing a module. Okay, so I did a GD extension the other day, last week, for a client, but I'd never done one before. So, okay, in Godot 3, there is, you can make a module in C++, but then you have to recompile Godot. Or you can make like this external library that can be, imported in like stock Godot using GD native, but the GD native API is horrible. It's horrible. I hate working with it. And in Godot 4, GD native is going to be replaced by GD extension, but there's no docs on how to use it, and it's not like totally finished and whatever. But for a client thing, I actually sat down to try and use it. It is awesome. GD extension is awesome. It is just like implementing a module in Godot 3 or in Godot 4, actually. I mean, the idea is to have like basically API parity between making a GD extension and making a module. So C++ in Godot 4 is going to be a lot easier and a lot more fun. Logan, have you done much C++ before this? C++ is just kind of its own weird universe on its own. Okay, so I was trying to look up, I want to get the face vertex. So returns the specified vertex of the given face. The vertex argument must be 0, 1, or 2 because faces contain 3 vertices. So I was kind of hoping that I had the arguments here reversed. So in my code here, I'm doing where's my code? I'm doing a face comma vertex in number, and I was kind of hoping that I had those reversed, and that was the reason I was getting that weird face. But it appears not to be the case. Something else is going on here. Before Unreal, I'd never touched it. Wow, yeah. I mean, getting the basics of C++ is pretty easy. It's all of the weird cornery things. Oh no, Boss MB Gaming is stuck up at the top. I'd like to see some kind of runtime to run GDScript on a dedicated server like console apps, like C# does with .NET and Unity with Mono. I mean, you can run GDScript on a dedicated server. I'm not entirely sure what is missing for you when you try to do that, but you certainly can. Like, one common way of making authoritative multiplayer games where you have an authoritative server in Godot is to have a machine somewhere that spins up headless instances of Godot to act as the authoritative server for that particular match. Or if you're doing something bigger like MMO-ish, I mean, you probably wouldn't do it that way anyway. But you could conceivably have like a persistent server that people can connect to that just runs headless on a Linux box somewhere. So I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you tried and what you found insufficient there. All right, so what the heck is going wrong here? So we are adding the normal to color the vertex. That is the way that this is supposed to work, I think. I'm a little bit confused by this for vertex ID part here. Or vertex ID in get face vertex. Is it? It's not giving me. It's not giving me a get face vertex returns an integer. So shouldn't this just be ID equals? Shouldn't that be it? I have no idea what that second for loop was about, because a face consists of 3 vertices, so we're looping 3 times. Cool. Let's try this. Ho ho ho! There we go. It is not the top. I have the bit flag wrong. I'm not entirely sure which side that is. I think that would be left. Let's try saying that's left. So neighbor bit left, and then let's kind of loop through here. Not loop, I mean we'll have to do them manually one at a time and try to figure out what's going on. So let's try right. Let's just guess that perhaps the face 2 and 3 are the right side of the mesh. Again, we'll need to make this configurable because all meshes will be different, but for now, let's just make it work for this one voxel. And then we can refactor the code when we try to do it for a different voxel. Okay. Yes, that is right. That is the right face. Okay. Or at least I think so. It's hard to get a handle on orientation, but let's say we did that right. I've only made P2P networking in Godot, player hosted basically. Oh yeah, I do a lot of peer-to-peer stuff in Godot because it's so much easier and cheaper to operate. Hello, Adrian, welcome to the stream. What kind of character did you get? Oh, you got like an old blacksmith kind of, because you got the overalls going and the gray hair. And you have now evened out the orc versus human ratio here. I think we're now 3 orcs and 3 humans. All right. I saw it. Oh, it's because it was in, yeah, okay, in YouTube. I was wondering in my head why I saw, you know, the swear symbols when the GBO was saying something, because I saw him join the Discord, but the GBO was chatting on YouTube instead of in the Discord channel. Anyway, moving on. Let's try a couple more faces here. I have no idea what's going to be next. Let's just guess top. 4 and 5. It is not the top. That looks like front. Say that's the front face. And let's guess the next is back. 6 and 7. Hey LP Games, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I have been working on the Voxel Builder game. We are trying to implement meshing, and we're doing pretty good. Last stream we got to this point where we started this stream basically, and nothing worked. It only needed like a tiny bit more effort to get it working, but I think this week we'll accomplish what we set out to accomplish last time. We're just getting meshing working for this single voxel, and then we're going to generalize it to work for any voxel. get it all set up for all of our stuff, and then, I don't know, it might work, I hope. We'll need to do something interesting for meshing when you make a voxel on the small grid and then use it on the big grid, how is it going to do the meshing on the big grid? Like, we're going to need to do something clever there, but we'll figure it out. We'll deal with that when we get there. Let's try. Oh, yep, that was the top. Okay, so the last one must be the bottom. And then we can try and figure out if it's actually meshing or not, like removing these hidden faces. I mean, I guess we know it's creating a mesh, but we don't know if it's successfully removing the faces it's supposed to remove. So there we go. That is a cube. Yeah, you know what? It totally is the cursor that's broken, not the actual voxel placement. How can we know? Here, maybe if we stack it and then go inside it. I can't tell. How will we know? We could use RenderDoc. I like using RenderDoc, and inspect the actual mesh. I kind of wish we had like a cool wireframe thing. Yeah, I'm not really thinking of an idea to ensure that like the neighbors thing is working without using RenderDoc. Oop, something went wrong there. So it removed the wrong face. It was supposed to remove the interface. I bet what we have is what I was calling the top was really the front or something like that. Or not the top. What I was calling the left and right was really the front and back. That'll be my first go-to thing to check here. Yeah. Or there's a problem in the code that's determining what the neighbors are. That could also be a thing. How do we test that? We're going to need a reference, some sort of point of reference, so we know which way is front, which way is back, all of that. Oh, I missed some stuff going on in chat. Do you know how to make land discovery in Godot? Like when someone hosts a server and the other players can see it? I've never figured this out. I mean, I would do it the same way that I would do it in any programming language, I guess. So if you're just relying on everyone being on the same network and you're not using any other servers or whatever, you could send a broadcast message. Send something to, you know, whatever the LAN is, 255, and figure out, you know, who is listening. Send some messages that way. Are there better ways in the modern era? I mean, on a local network you can do broadcast. In the greater internet you can't. That would just never work. I don't know. Anyone else have any other thoughts on that? LP Games says, know that feeling. One more feature and then nothing works. Yeah. I like how you can play this game without having a VR headset. Yeah, so that is one of my main requirements because it's a multiplayer game, right? And VR, I love VR. It is my favoriteest ever, but it's still super niche. And you know, if I want to have people to play with, I need to have desktop support as well. But the VR version is going to come out first because that is like my main target. That is what I am excited to do. Okay, so we need to figure out which direction is which. Let's go into our scene here. Which direction do we start out facing? So we start out facing into the negative y. Or I'm sorry, negative z. Why are we starting out facing in the negative z? That just seems like it's going to make life hard for us. Let's start out facing the other direction. Or wait, this is the VR scene. I need to go to the desktop scene. Main, desktop. Okay, so Which direction do we start out facing in this one? I guess we're dynamically creating the player. So that would be in Builder, Manager, Desktop. We create the player way up at the beginning. We're just instancing them and plopping them down at 0, 0, 0. So whichever direction the camera is facing on the player is going to be the same direction that it will be facing in the main scene. So let's find the player scene in Godot here. So the camera is pointing which direction? The camera is pointing negative Y, or negative Z. Why do I keep saying Y? It's pointing negative Z. Okay, so that's the same for both. Which direction did we decide was the front according to our voxels? I think we decided that the front of the voxel is positive Z, in order that our grids within the individual voxels wouldn't need to use negative numbers. So 0, 0 would be this back bottom left corner, and then everything else comes this way. So the front face should be the one that is positive Z away from the origin. Let's double check this code to make sure that that's what we're doing. So if our voxel object exists at this position and we add positive Z to it, if there's a neighbor there, we set the front bit. That seems correct. If we move back negative Z, that means we set the back bit. That also seems correct. In this world, if positive Z is coming towards us, that means positive X is to the right. So, yep, here we go. So right is assigned when we are the grid size X to the right, and left is assigned when we are 1 negative on the X. That seems correct. Top is real simple. We just go up on the Y. Bottom, we go down on the Y. And yeah, so it seems like the neighbor finding code is correct-ish. Oh no. Live stream is running at 144p. I'm sure you can't read nothing. Let me just check the stream health on my end to make sure it's good. I've had really good luck since I got the fiber with streaming. I have like one gigabit fiber. It seems like everything's running good. YouTube is saying we have an excellent connection. Restream is saying we have a fair connection. So I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, so I think the find neighbors seems correct. It would be better if I could test it, but I don't feel like setting up a test case. We're gonna logic our way through the code, and then when things seem to work, we will decide that it is working. So okay, so if the player is facing negative Z, that means positive Z is this way, which is actually good for us. Okay, so our initial position, if I place a voxel right in front of me, that should be front, back, left, right. Let me do that. I'm going to place a voxel right here. Okay, and if I place one on top, place one to the right. Okay, we are definitely getting something wrong. It is removing the front when it should be removing the, I think in this case it would be the left, in this case it would be, I guess, also the left. So we have left and front reversed. Let's go check out here. So this is not actually left. We'll say front back, say left, right. Hopefully I got this right. There's way too many combinations if we have to try them all, so hopefully we're smart enough to figure this out. Okay. We're not getting any holes. Oop, we are. Okay. We're getting some holes over there. I'm not sure why. Maybe we have left and right flipped. That's going to be my next thing to try. We'll go right, left. Build the same structure here. And let's go around. Hey, there we go. So we're getting the directions right. Again, I really wish I had a way of viewing the actual vertex data. Maybe we'll do this with RenderDoc. I just like doing things with RenderDoc. So let's do that. Gonna boot up RenderDoc once my window manager decides to behave. Hey, Mr. Square Peg, do you plan on releasing this tool? Yes. I plan on releasing it in the in App Lab for the Oculus Quest as soon as I can. I had a goal of doing it in 3 months, which I set, I think, 4 weeks ago. I'm totally not going to make that. I need to set a new goal, a more realistic goal, and then the desktop version will come out sometime after that. Oh, using a light theme for coding, unconventional, says Arvid Schoenberg. Yeah, my eyes don't deal real well with the dark themes. I still use it in Godot because for some reason I just don't like changing the default in Godot. But yeah, I tend towards light themes. Sorry if it is having the reverse effect on anyone. It's better for my eyes, but I understand it might be worse for yours. Whoa, I have top listed twice. That's not right. We need a way to test this now. Ooh, interesting. It's not even showing the delete cursor. It's supposed to be a red cursor for delete. Oh, I can't see under it. I just want to see underneath it. Oh well. We'll guess that it's working. We'll be able to export the things we make with this to our PCs. Yeah, so presently the save files are Godot resources, with the idea that this could also be used as like a level design tool for a game. I intend to use it that way. I intend to use this to design levels for other games. When I actually release this to the world, it probably makes sense to like support some standard formats, which we can totally do. Godot has the ability to save GLTF files, so we could have it export GLTFs. There's like the different voxel formats, but because my definition of a voxel is different than the common definition, like in Magic of Voxel, all voxels are exactly the same, of the same size and shape, completely uniform. In this, they are not. We can use different shaped voxels and compose voxels from other voxels, and so I don't know that we'll be able to do a voxel format, but we could certainly do GLTF. Should take very little effort. Okay, so what next? I don't know why the color is wrong. Why is the color wrong? Let's figure that out. So we are setting the color, the vertex color. Ooh, I wonder if we just aren't assigning the right material. Do you guys remember the stream where we made the material? I don't remember how it's assigned or any of that. Let me take a look in Git and see what all did we delete to make this happen. And actually, let me commit what we got here, because this is actually fantastic. Git commit. Got the right faces actually added to the mesh. And then I'm going to just do a git diff from the main branch to this branch. And let's take a peek at what we got here. So the primitive voxel library changes. Mesh optimizers added. What I'm mostly concerned with is the code we removed from the voxel object instance class. Okay, so material override or layer layers not equal 1, then config duplicate. Right, material override. Interesting. Are we maybe just not setting material override when asked? Yeah, we're gonna have to change like the way we deal with materials entirely. We did write that material to allow us to use the exact same material for all the voxels, but the way that the code is currently written is that you can assign a different material to each voxel, and I think that's probably how the material is assigned. But we need to not do it that way. We need to just set the one material to always be the material for the mesh that we're creating. Should take very little effort. Famous last words, for sure, Ricardo. Mr. Squarepeg, if you're trying to find your way to the Discord, there is a link along the bottom of the screen. I don't have a cool bot that can like bring up Discord when you do that. But if you head over to that link, that'll get you in the Discord. And if I see you pop in, I can assign you to the trusted group. I guess if you use the same username, you're gonna have to tell me what your Discord username is. I can add you to the trusted group, and then your messages can appear on the overlay. This overlay, by the way, I forgot to say at the beginning, it's usually part of my intro, is a Godot game. We created it on stream last summer. I like it. I like it a lot. I know it annoys some people, but I enjoy it. Okay. So we need to figure out how to get this material assigned. I'm thinking, just where is the material? Where is the material? What's the old code in mesh voxel type do about materials? The old code takes the color and the old code takes the color and creates a new spatial material, which is cached in the voxel library, and then sets it. I wonder if we never like took that shader that we wrote and it ever did anything with it. Maybe we just wrote it and then it never actually got assigned because we have this other code that's messing with creating these like dynamic shaders. Hey, Mr. Squarepeg joined. Hey, Phil Do, welcome to the stream. It's going better than last time. We actually have some meshing like thing happening. We're just going through the details of what hasn't worked, and it's very specific right now. We're going to generalize it a little bit. Where is Mr. Squarepeg in the Discord? Mr. Squarepeg, there you are. I will add you to the trusted role. And now if you go to the stream channel on my Discord, your words will appear in the bubble. Please do not abuse it. I have just given you some amount of trust here. Oh, do you guys remember last stream? I think it was last stream where all those like bots were joining and I kept having to restart the overlay. I added a way to the overlay to delete people that appear. So if that happens again and people put the spam in their usernames, then we can delete it. Hey, Smoloki, welcome to the stream. All right, what was I doing? Back to business here. I'm having too much fun talking to you guys. All right, so we need to assign the material. And it's just going to be a very, very simple material. we are going to, in fact, I don't even think, let's look at the shader that we made that one time. Maybe we don't even need to use a shader because that also was like for the pallets. I wanted to have the pallets and all the blocks and all these things using the same material. Where is that? It was assets. Material. Palette material. Okay, so the way that this worked was we wanted to have textures, albedo, and color and combine them in a different way than Godot combines them by default. So if we had done this with a spatial shader, Godot's like default configurable shader thing, it would have wanted to multiply the texture color by the albedo, and we didn't want that. We wanted to have like the albedo appear underneath the texture and it to do, you know, the sort of standard alpha blending. So I don't think we need this. I think we can make a spatial shader that just turns on vertex colors. I mean, that's maybe we should still do our own shader because it would be one line versus the spatial shader from Godot, which is probably a lot more lines. But let's make the shader. Where are we going to put it? We are going to put it maybe in the voxel directory. It's kind of like our generic voxel stuff in here that isn't related to the game at all. Let's make a new resource. This will be a material. And this will be voxel mesh material. And let's make a shader, which is going to be very, very simple. Shader type. What is that? Spatial. And man, I'm just not, I don't write shaders very often, so like, I forget always the syntax when I'm not looking at another shader. Let's just quick open up the other one we were looking at so that I can refresh my memory. It's like a weird C-like syntax that's not totally C-like. Here, I'll just copy and paste this one and then change it. Okay, so void fragment is what I was looking for. And this should be so easy. It will be albedo equals color RGB. That's all we need. So then let's load that up in our, I guess, mesh optimizer. Is that the right place to do it? I think so. Or no, so if we decide the responsibility of the mesh optimizer is just creating the, like, you know, vertexes and putting them together into a mesh, then maybe it should be the thing using the mesh optimizer, which in this case, temporarily at least, is the voxel object instance class. And yeah, let's do that. We'll load it up here. So const, this will be voxel mesh material, preload. We put that in res source voxel mesh material. And we have this material override. We don't want to use that. We want to actually set the surface material so that we can still use material override to like change the color temporarily of something. Like if we are making the cursor or highlighting something, which I guess wouldn't work if we're meshing everything together. We'll have to figure out a new way to highlight things. Not that we had a good way previously. We're doing like this weird Z fighting thing. Hello, Sergio Silva. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? Are you still doing AR stuff? I saw you asking some questions about like AR Core and AR Kit in the XR channel on the Godot Discord. It sounds like perhaps you needed to move on from WebXR, which is fine. Like, it's totally understandable given that we don't have anchors in WebXR in Godot yet. But yeah, very curious what you are doing. Okay, so when we run this mesh optimizer, or no, we can do it right at the beginning. Okay, because we're keeping the same mesh instance. So say mesh instance, and then how do we programmatically set the surface material? Set surface material. Does it take the index first, or does it take the material first? Takes the index first. Beautiful. And voxel mesh material. Will that get our colors working? Will it? Let's try it. Hey, that is white. Let's try changing the color. It's maybe purple. I like purple. Nope, that didn't work. It's actually white now, though. That's an improvement. We'll have to chase down why exactly that isn't working. Since AR Core is not working, we are using WebXR. Oh, and making a progressive web app for Android. Cool. Yeah, I guess I'm still sorry that I didn't implement anchors in WebXR. So many things I want to do, so little time to do them. It shouldn't be that hard to implement anchors. I mean, like, I don't know, that's probably like a week of work, but I just don't have that. I just don't have that time. All right, let's try and figure out why the color is not making its way all the way to where it needs to go. So, I think we can reasonably assume that the color is getting set on the voxel, because we didn't change any of that code, although we could make sure that it is. We could add like a quick print config here, which will print out the config for each voxel as it's placed. Let's run that. Ooh, oh, I had some breakpoints set. Let's clear those. And let's take a look here. Yep, white, beautiful. Let's go change the color to purple, draw it, and it looks purple. So, okay, it's getting set on the voxel correctly. That's good. Is the mesh optimizer not using it correctly? So it is looping over the voxel placements. Voxel placement.getConfig. That seems wrong. I think that seems wrong. So voxel placement equals voxel placements here. Hang on. Let's go to the code. I really don't think we're doing like an ID and then a config key on a dictionary, but maybe we are. It's been a long time since I wrote a lot of this code. So let's go to voxel object. In here, it will have some sort of add voxel, set voxel, where we pass in an ID and a config, and how does it use it? Oh, no, it does. It does make a config dictionary within the placement. Okay, so that I guess was correct. Let's go back. Okay, so there's a config. We're passing it in here. How are we ending up with the wrong color in the end, though? I guess let's go to... Let's maybe set some breakpoints. Let's set some breakpoints. I already have some breakpoints set. This one seems like a good breakpoint. What is this other one? Don't need this one. Get rid of that one. So let's go back to our game here. place a voxel. That triggers our breakpoint. Now, we should have a config dictionary which contains a color which is the wrong color. Why is it the wrong color? Thanks, Sergio. So how do we get to this point where this has the wrong color? The voxel placements. Let's go look in here. It's the voxel placement. Where's the voxel placements? 33 of them. It's a lot. Yeah, I won't be able to find the one I want. But yeah, okay, so some. Oh, okay. I'm imagining in my head that this is just doing the one we just placed, but it has to rebuild the entire mesh from scratch. So this is going to give us a lot of white. So do breakpoint expressions work in VS Code with Godot? I don't know the answer to that. But what we will do is we will expand this config color and we will stare at it as we advance here. I have to press F5. It won't let me press F5, will it? What if I hold the Windows key? Press F5? No. My window manager eats most of the F keys, and so I can't use them in other applications, although sometimes I can like hold Shift and press it. Well, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Does Shift F5 kill it? Let's try this again. Yeah, we don't care yet. Let's just place one voxel, and that will make our breakpoints work very easily. So, where's our game here? Oh, no, I just get rid of those. Continue. Let's get into the game. Let's change the color to purple. Let's get back out of here. Let's re-enable breakpoints. And let's place it. Okay, so now we should have a config that has a color that is totally purple. And now let's step into and see what happens here. Okay, it stepped into something too soon. I don't care about this. Okay, what F key is this? F10. F10 should work. My window manager doesn't need that one. The reason that I can't click, I don't know if you guys notice this, is every time I give control back to the game, it puts my cursor back in the middle of the screen. So I have to keep going like from the middle up to the corner. And the reason is the game captures the mouse. And you know, in games that don't capture the mouse, I can just keep my mouse up here and just keep clicking. But in this situation, I can't. Okay, so color equals config.getColor. So it's still getting the right color. We are copying these faces in. Color gets passed in here. Let's step into. We still have the correct color. And we are setting it. We're saying add color, color. What could be going wrong? Let's go look at the docs for Surface Tool, which we're using to create these faces and these vertices. Add color, add UV, add all the things. Are there any special notes about add color? Specifies a color to use for the next vertex. If every vertex needs to have this information set and you fail to set it for the first vertex, the information may not be used at all. There's also a possibility that it's setting the right color, and what's broken is that shader that we just wrote. We could try just swapping that for a spatial shader just to make sure that that isn't the problem. Let's do that. We will again create a new resource, material. This time a spatial material. We'll say voxel mesh material spatial. And we are going to use vertex color as albedo, which again isn't as simple as just setting it as the albedo. It's actually going to multiply the vertex color by the albedo, and it's white, which is fine. But I just don't know what code this generates, like what code is going to be in this shader. So that's why I made a custom one. Let's use that though. That was in voxel object instance. We are going to temporarily change it to this other shader. Let's give it a try. Oh, I forgot to change color. Nope. Okay, so it appears that it's setting the right vertex color. It really appears like it. But it's just not using it. Is it possible that something else is happening? Actually, yeah. So let's do some stuff in here. Then let's go over to Godot editor and let's look at the remote scene tree. And let me just look at the mesh instance, and see that the materials look correct. Where is this? Here's the mesh instance. It has no material set. Why? Why does it have no material set? I probably did that wrong. Let's go look at mesh instance. T left? No. Set surface material. Okay. Sets material for a surface of the mesh resource. Okay. Return material that will be used by mesh when drawing. This can return the geometry instance material override, the surface override material defined in this mesh instance, or the surface material defined in the mesh. We can just set a material in the mesh. If we can do that, we should do that. Yeah, surface set material. Okay. Okay, new plan. New plan. We put this in the voxel object instance. We're going to take it out of there. Let's bring this code over to the mesh optimizer. This way we can have materials operate a little bit differently for optimized and unoptimized meshes, which I think fits a little bit better into the overall architecture of the app. Okay, so we need to add a little bit of extra code here. We need to say var mesh equals stcommit, and then rather than just returning it, we need to say surface set material which I think will give us, will be for the zeroth surface. We only have one surface. Voxel mesh material. Let's just look at what are the existing flags. I don't know if we need any of those flags. Hey, Sean Sill! Welcome to the stream! Sean doesn't have work today, so you can actually hang out. Cool. What kind of character did you get, Sean? Whoa! So you have pigtails and a white beard. That is pretty cool. Oh, I didn't see LP Games in here. Has a full bearded orc. What else haven't I seen yet? Phil Dew as a braid. Smoloki as a fro. That's pretty cool. Arvid has just a full beard on a human red colored beard. Oh, now the orcs are totally outnumbered. Oh, and Sergio has a sailor hat with a long beard. Yeah, we started out the stream with like all orcs, and now it's like humans totally overpowering the orcs. Okay, let's see if this works. It'd be awesome if it just did. There's some white, but what we really care about is any other color. Hey, there we go! And I like that it's set on the mesh. I like that it's actually set on the mesh. So, now we need to try switching from that spatial material that we created back to the custom material, which is just a one-liner. Let's give that a shot. White, purple, beautiful. So we can delete the spatial shader. Cool. All right, what do we still have going on? We have got to... we got the colors. Do we got to do anything with orientations? I think we might. We might have to like actually rotate the meshes, like apply some transforms. Although that doesn't matter for this voxel at all. Maybe the next thing is making the meshing generic to any voxel, so we can set up meshing for all of the different like voxels on the small grid. But before I get to that, I am going to quickly run to the bathroom. I made the mistake of drinking tea during this stream once again, so just give me like 1 minute. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sean says, my online match rewrite seems to be working out. Sweet. And he had some Nakama questions. Yeah, I mean, you can ask me on Discord at any time. If you think it's something that would be easy to answer on stream, you can ask here too. But yeah, feel free to ask whenever. Nikki Mick, huh? Nikki Meech? Nikki, however the rest of your name is pronounced. Welcome to the stream. Oh my god, in my place right now, it's 11 p.m. Yep, it's real early by me. It's 11 a.m. So where are you that's exactly 12 hours ahead of me? That's crazy. You're like on the other side of the earth. All right, what were we doing? We were going to figure out meshing for the voxels on the small grid, which means we have to genericize the code in mesh voxel type. So here we have hard-coded which faces represent which sides of the voxel, or at least which faces should be omitted if a neighbor exists on that particular side. And we're going to need a way to essentially configure for a particular voxel which faces should be omitted. And this will get most interesting for like the one that has the diagonal slant through it, because that diagonal face should actually only be omitted if it's covered on like this side, this side, this side, and this side. So it's good there's a bit flag. We'll have to figure out exactly the right way to express this. But am I using Python? No, I am using GDScript, which looks a lot like Python, but it is a different programming language. Ooh, Sean got in there and answered the question too. Thank you, Sean. So first, let's like replicate what we've got going here. We need to, I think, have a dictionary, because maybe there's some faces we'll never want to omit. I don't know. Let's try a dictionary. And this will be face exclusions. I don't know what to call it. Face exclusions will work for now. If anyone has an idea for a better name, please let me know. Oh, did we commit this? I just want to make sure I'm not doing too much stuff. No, hang on. Let me. Did I save this already? Okay, I'm going to get rid of the face exclusions for a moment and make a commit so that we can get the colors in as its own individual commit. This looks good. Okay, so got voxel colors working. Okay. Let's undo where I deleted the face exclusions, and we're going to turn this into some kind of loop. We're going to say for face in face exclusions. No, how are we going to do this? We need to loop over the faces. So let's say for face in range MDT get face count. And then we need to check each face to say if it's on the face exclusion dictionary. So this will be, we'll call it exclusion mask. My naming is, I'm not very happy with my naming at the moment, but naming is hard. So face exclusions for the face ID. And we will say if not neighbors and exclusion mask, copy. Oh, hang on. We also need to do something different if it's not in the face exclusions. So we'll say if face exclusions has this face, then we will do copy face st mdt pose color face. And if it doesn't have this in the face exclusion dictionary, then we're just going to copy it anyway. We'll copy it always. So in order for meshing to work on a voxel type of the mesh voxel type, it needs to set up these exclusions. Otherwise, it'll just copy the whole thing in there, which will be less efficient meshing, but it will work. It will not break. And I think that's what we want. Then we need to actually configure this. We need to encode this data. We need to turn this into into one of these dictionaries. I'm just going to write it here so I can look at the code while I'm writing it. We'll move it to where it needs to go a little bit later. So we're going to say 0 is neighbor bit front, 1 is neighbor bit front, unexpected assign. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I have to use Python style dictionary declarations in order to use integers. Lua style declarations only work with strings. So, oh, what's going on here? Sean says, I'm pretty surprised you're doing it in GScript. Is that the complete plan? Is there some GD native in the future? Yeah, so the plan is to do it in C++ in the future. Right now, I'm still not sure what this game is entirely, so I'm going to go through this kind of early design stage all in GDScript, and in the end, all of this is going to be written in C++. Probably not with GD Native. I kind of hate GD Native, but maybe. I don't know. My go-to thing for Godot 3 is usually to make a Godot module, which you have to recompile Godot to do, but I don't know, I already have all the tooling set up to do that. I have like a GitLab CI set up so that every time I commit, it'll like rebuild Godot. And anyway, that is probably what I will do. But for now, we're just figuring out how to make all this stuff work, which is nice to do in GDScript because recompiling sucks. Recompiling is no fun. Nikki, bruh, initially I would make some game using Godot, but I didn't have experience in Godot. Right now I'm using Blender game engine, and yeah, I'm stressed. How is the Blender game engine? Like, I'm confused on its status because it was removed from Blender proper, and then I guess it became its own project. Is that like still an actively developed project? I'm really curious about that. Parapixel, welcome to the stream. You are very welcome for the tutorials. Ooh, someone is stuck at the bottom. Who's stuck at the bottom here? I don't know who that was. Maybe that was Mr. Parapixel, him or herself. Who'd you get? What character did you get? Is the overlay still working? There you are. Okay, an orc with a shield and a braid. I think we had someone else who had a shield and a braid. I don't know, Ricardo has a shield but no braid. Just a sweet witch's hat. Nikki asks, how long have you been learning Godot? I've been using Godot for not that long, honestly. Since 2019, I think. But I have used different, very old school engines. I haven't used any of the current modern ones like Unity or Unreal, and I've of course written my own game engines numerous times. I made a video a while back about a game engine that I wrote back in like the year 2000, which is surprisingly similar to Godot, but like of course not good. But in like design and where I was kind of going with it, it was similar with Godot. Yeah, the extensions are the way of the future for Godot 4. Yeah, I don't know if you were on the stream, Sean, when I mentioned it, that I did make a GD extension last week for a client, and GD extension is cool. I dig GD extension. All right, so I think you guys understand where this is going. So I'm turning these like literal checks where we're checking, you know, front and then copying 1 and 2 to this dictionary type setup where we're saying, you know, declaring it declarative instead of programmatic. What is right? Right. So 6 and 7 is now left. And do 8, 9. Oh, just have to delete more than one character. 11. And that goes top, bottom. And that is what we need. So let's copy this over to where we are declaring the voxel type for this cube. I'm actually going to copy instead of cut because I'm worried I'm going to lose this. And that is in Builder Manager. And we're doing it here. Big cube voxel type, orientation type, all this stuff. Let's paste this here. Say big cube voxel type. What do we call it? Face exclusions. Again, if anyone has a better name for that, I would love to know it. Oh, and of course this in we'll have to prefix this with voxel type. Of course, Vim key bindings and VS Code helping me out, making that fast. Yeah, I think this should work. I think we have rewritten this code to be generic, but it should still work. Let's give it a try. So yeah, we still have to fix that the cursor is in the wrong place now. But let's just make sure the right faces are being included or excluded. Oop. Which we really only know because there's no holes in it. Probably still should run this in RenderDoc so we can actually inspect the mesh itself. But I'm gonna count this as a win for now. I just hate not knowing. I hate not knowing. Let's run it in RenderDoc. It should only take a second. So where did I put RenderDoc? Oh, I might have deleted it. I was cleaning out my downloads directory, and I deleted a whole bunch of stuff. I should have copied it into my packages directory. I guess let's download it again really quick. RenderDoc. And this time we will extract it into the packages directory. Actually, let's first look at what files it creates. That looks good. So let's extract that. Extracted. RenderDoc, this is amazing. RenderDoc is amazing. It is astonishingly amazing. I had heard of it a million years ago, but didn't use it until a couple of months ago. I made a little intro tutorial-ish kind of video. It doesn't go deep into anything, but just like tells you how to not get lost, basically. All right. So we are going to launch. We need our path to Godot, which I'm pretty sure is this. We need to set our working directory to the game that we are working on. Where I should just type this. It's so bad with like graphical menus. I just want to type everything. So what is this? Voxel Architect? Voxel? No. Oh, it's just called Architect, I think, the directory? Yeah. Okay. Choose. That should be good. Let's launch this. Oh, I was using it with the Quest on last stream, which was really cool. That was even cooler than just RenderDoc on its own, being able to like use RenderDoc over USB to the Quest. All right, so we're going to place some stuff. I should have placed something simpler. Hang on. Let's new this up. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're going to place this. Let's do that. And what do I have to press to capture again? Capturing disabled. Context not created via only open. Oh, it's because I'm using GLES2, which I'm doing because, again, the Quest. So let's temporarily switch to GLES3. I have to not forget to switch that back. And let's launch it again. All right, F12 or print screen. I think I need to use print screen because F12 is eaten by my window manager. Oop, and of course I did a capture without placing anything. Let's first place some things. We're going to place a thing. Everything looks wrong because this is GLES3, which we have not been developing for. And print screen. Okay, let's close this. We want to look at this capture. And before I totally forget about it, I'm going to switch this back to GLES2 and look in Git to make sure that it didn't change anything. Architect. Okay, only the things we've been hacking on have changed, which is good. All right, so let's look at the mesh viewer. Let's find our mesh, which Hmm. Hmm. This seems not right. Which mesh is this? What are we dealing with here? This could be something to do with post-processing. Okay, this looks like the voxels that I placed. Can you guys see that? It's like way down in the corner. I'm probably covering it up with my face. Let me, here, let's, how can I just temporarily, okay, nothing is blocking now. All right, so this is the mesh that's getting drawn, and it looks right. I don't see the inner faces. It's kind of hard to tell because basically we're looking that there isn't like a cross through it. But I think, can I click faces? Can I select faces? Okay, so that's the verts. Not quite sure what this is. So this is the verts, which have the colors. Wireframe, highlight vertices. What I would really like to see is the faces. Not sure the best way to do that. Okay, this might be helpful. I think it's working. I feel with 95% confidence that this mesh has been optimized in the way that we had expected it to. I think, oh man, what we have to try next, if it'll work well enough, is putting it back in the quest, connecting RenderDoc to the quest, and seeing what kind of, like, how many draw calls are we getting now that this is going to be switched to this lightly optimized mesh with our new mesh optimizer. Sean, wait, you can use it on Quest as well? Heck yeah. Oh, what has everyone been saying? And VR, it's free source like Android? If you're asking if RenderDoc is open source, yes, it is open source. It works with OpenGL, Vulkan, DirectX. I don't know if it works with Metal. Probably not. Nothing works with Metal. But I'd have to check. But yeah, you can use it. You can connect it to your Android phone or to your Quest, which is just another Android device, and get the same kind of output like this is, but from that remote device. I don't know why Blender removed their game engine. I mean, I guess I could think of some reasons why they might have removed it. Maybe they didn't want to have to maintain that, have the same maintainers working on that together with the people who are working on the editor. It kind of makes sense, but yeah. Anyway, okay, cool. I think we're good. I think we did the thing we set out to do, which is fabulous. And next up, yeah, I don't want to save any of these captures. Save as capture. No to all. I do want to do like a stress test on the Quest, but the best way to do the stress test is with the voxels on the small grid. Because if I make like a solid block, yeah, I want to make sure that is doing what I think it is. Maybe I don't want a solid block. Maybe I'll make some sort of twisty, windy thing and then make like 5,000 of them and see what happens. Although the small grid, we still have to figure out how we're going. Okay, so on the small grid where you're making a voxel, it's going to optimize that. Cool. But now, when you put two of those voxels next to each other, now it has to somehow optimize those, and we'll need to write a bunch of code for that. So maybe we won't mess with the small grid. Maybe let's just render dock the quest. Let's just render dock the quest. And use the big grid. I can still make a lot of voxels with the big grid. Not as many as I can with the small grid. But yeah, let's do it. So I need to change the replay context to Oculus Quest 2. You guys probably couldn't see that because it happened in the bar below. And it won't work until I put the headset on, actually. Hang on. Welcome, Ya, to the stream. Or Ja, I don't know how you intend to pronounce that name. Let me put on the quest so we can get RenderDoc connected to it. All right. Don't let me forget to share my screen with you guys. I have definitely forgot to do that many times. And let's get back into here. Get connected to the quest. Remote server ready. So now we can go to launch application. And I should be able to select an app from the quest, but why isn't it letting me do that? Oh, here we go. These are apps installed on my quest. I can select, this is my game, Voxel Architect. And it's not going to work with GLES 2, is it? Wait, it worked last time though. And I was using GLES 2 last time. Maybe like under the hood it's really using GLES 3 or something? Let's try it. Let's try it. So I'm going to make this guy small. I'm going to... Oh, we have to do another deployment though. Okay, hang on. A couple of steps here. We're missing some steps. So first, I need to deploy the latest version of the game. We need to... I'm going to turn off remote debug because sometimes that causes problems when doing RenderDoc. Okay, so we need to deploy the latest version of the game, which is going to show up in my headset. And I'm going to make sure that we have screen sharing working, screencasting. Here's my other hand. Oh, okay, it is appearing in there. So, are you guys seeing what I'm doing? Am I doing anything? Okay, you're sort of seeing what I'm doing. Oh yeah, and the cursor is still in the wrong spot. We'll have to fix that. Something to do with the meshing. I'm actually really surprised, like, this isn't using any threading, and it's rebuilding the entire mesh every time we place a voxel, and it is really fast. Like, I don't feel any kind of hitching, like, as I'm turning my head and placing voxels at the same time. It was definitely my plan to multi-thread that. But what if I don't need to? I guess we'll see once we get to the small grid where all of these problems are just so much worse. Okay, so latest version is deployed. Let's quit it because we need to let RenderDoc start it up itself. So let's hit launch. Is it working? It is working. Oh, geez. I'll have to keep my left eye closed. It's doing the thing. There's a bug in Godot's OpenXR support where sometimes the left eye gets locked. But, okay, so I'm going to place just like as many voxels as I can. We're going to make a big wall here. Ooh, 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 we crashed it. Okay. This might be too buggy to do a proper performance test. Oh, wait, I'm back. I'm back for a second. I'm gone again. We might need to fix some bugs before we can... Oh, I am back. I am back. Okay. So using that other tool seems like a bad idea. Let's use this. Let's just use the brush tool and just see how many voxels I can place with this thing. Yeah, voxels everywhere. Okay, I am now seeing some hitching. every time I'm placing a new voxel. So like I'm rotating slowly and placing voxels. But after I stop placing, everything is super smooth. Although this isn't that many voxels. But yeah, I guess we are probably going to have to do the threading because I can totally feel the hitches once we get above a certain number here. Now, if you guys remember when we ran this in RenderDoc 2 weeks ago, on the stream 2 weeks ago, when we placed enough voxels, we got the draw calls up to like 70,000, something like that. And yeah, there's that dome I just made. And so what we're hoping is to instead get draw calls in the hundreds, ideally. Yeah, this totally hitches every time we're placing a voxel now. In the ideal implementation, what we would do is we would place like a temporary voxel right away, and then start the optimizer in a separate thread, and then swap in the optimized mesh when it was ready. Okay, I'm gonna stop placing. Yeah, still super smooth. Let's okay, I gotta turn all the way around. In VR, you don't necessarily notice that you've turned all the way around. Let's put this up. Let's get back over to RenderDoc. And we want to capture after delay because I want to make sure I'm facing a whole mess of voxels. So we'll make that be 10 seconds. So I can spin around and do everything I need to do. Capture after delay. Okay. Wait in 10 seconds. Wait in 10 seconds. Usually I can tell when it does its capture because like the whole game will freeze for a moment. That had to be 10 seconds. I didn't feel it though. I didn't feel the hitch. Oh, okay, it got it. It got it. All right, let's take a look in RenderDoc. We can inspect this in a couple different ways. The first is we're just going to look at the statistics tab, which will give us the number of raw draw calls. Wow. 111. That is a very small number of draw calls. Let's look in here. I'm a little bit confused as to why we have all of these 54s. Like, why do we have so many 54s here? But anyway, let's look at mesh viewer. What mesh is that? What mesh is that? Okay, I gotta find the right place in here. This might not be our stuff. That might be like post-processing that Godot is doing. Color pass 3. Okay, here we go. You guys probably can't see this. Let me do this. All right, so this is our optimized mesh from all of the voxel placing that I was doing. And it's just a single draw call. This is the floor we're walking on. I'm not sure what any of this junk is. But yeah. This is working. It's working. I think all that we need to do is just debug the crap out of it, and this super simple meshing should be enough to let people play test the game, I think. Yeah. We did it! More or less, sort of, the beginning part of it. Let's close RenderDoc here. I'll take the headset off. No, I don't want to save the capture. Okay, let's see what everyone's been saying. Phil Do stepped out for a second. I assume you're doing mesh optimizations for perf performance. Yes. The mini grid versus normal grid problem is one that probably essentially reduces to just merge on the mini grid, which might be a ton of hassle. Do you know if your performance problems are specifically due to number of verts, number of frags, or number of draw calls? Number of draw calls. Number of draw calls. Because if it's the last, you might be able to get away with combining everything into a single mesh and just not worry about culling in between voxel triangles. Sean, yeah, it's doing okay for right now. You'll need to multi-thread that, yes. Do you have a chunking mechanism as well? No, I don't currently have a chunking mechanism. The thing is, I'm imagining these worlds being not that big. Certainly, you know, it could turn out that we still need to do some kind of chunking. And then that's just we pick an arbitrary size and break the meshes up that way. But I don't know. I mean, for now, I just want to be able to test this to a fuller degree, and I think this is enough to get there. But yeah, so Phil, I had a bunch of ideas about how to do the meshing with the voxels created on the small grid involving bit flags. Like maybe when we're creating or actually, no, we could do this with the face exclusions thing that we just set up. Okay, so right now we have our voxel types, our mesh voxel types. It's actually not the same voxel type as the small grid voxels are, but whatever. We can copy this over there. We have this face exclusions that we're configuring for each voxel, which basically says, where is that code? If there's a neighbor at this position, so front, we omit face index 0. When we are creating the mesh for the voxels that are created on the small grid, we could keep track of which faces are completely flush with the side and put them in a similar like face exclusion list, so that if there are faces that are all the way flush on a particular side of the voxel, they can get removed. And I think that should work. I don't know how important it's going to be. Like, I don't know if that's really going to matter to performance. It's a question of how many voxels are you making that have sides that are completely flush with the side of the voxel. I mean, maybe for the beginning though, I think you're right. Maybe we just don't worry about it. just bring it into all in the same mesh and say it's cool. Chunk size directly affects render performance. Yeah, but like, I don't know. If we can get away without having it for this initial phase, I'm going to say let's not have it. And then when performance is bad, we'll be like, okay, what's the next thing we're going to add? Are we going to add chunking? Is that the next thing we're going to do to help performance? But right now, I'm thinking let's not do it. Okay, so what's up next? Did I do any code changes? I think I did. Okay, so we set up this face exclusion thing. And the next step, I think, oh, I still don't have me on here. Where am I? There I am. Is to get the face exclusion set up for all of our different voxel types. And ensure that our mesh optimizer can work on. So right now we're cool because we're only working with a single voxel, which is of the mesh voxel type. That's not the type that those voxels created on the small grid will be. They will be voxel object voxel types. So we need to make sure that the mesh optimizer can do something with these, which again, like I said, maybe we just copy everything. We just copy everything into a single mesh and then say it's cool. It's just so much harder to add it later, but you know, game better than anyone. I mean, I don't know why it would be harder to add later, actually. Like, so we already have this separation between what we define as like the reality of the voxels and then an optimizer which turns that into a single mesh. I don't know why it would be harder to have that mesh optimizer generate like multiple meshes. Like that's what chunking would be, right? It'd be taking the reality of the voxel world and breaking it into several meshes instead of just one mesh. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Like, if you've done a voxel game and had to add chunking after the fact, I'd be curious to know what the challenge is. Yeah, I don't know if I personally would have the discipline to not try your cool bitmask culling thing, but just naive append merging voxels into a single mesh might be the best in practice. Yeah, you know, could we also do a thing where we just look at vertices that are the same and eliminate duplicated? If we look at faces that have all the same vertices, because of course we can have, you know, two faces on a corner where they're going to share some vertices. But I wonder if we could do a thing like that too, where we just say, if there's a face that has all the same vertices as another face, clearly we're not going to see those faces. Or at least, yeah, we're not going to see those faces. I don't know. There's probably a couple of things we can do. Then again, meshing seems to be your bottleneck, but could be A, the complexity of your meshing algorithm, or B, the mesh upload bandwidth. I know your render doc view of each vertices had DBN data associated with it. That's a lot of data per vertex. I mean, we had color data, because we're using vertex colors to color the voxels. There is the possibility of doing textures instead, like turning the colors into like dynamically created textures, but then we have to pass UVs anyway. And I'm not sure that, you know, switching from colors to UVs really saves that much. I mean, so UVs are 2 numbers instead of 3, because you just have X and Y, or U and V, which I think of as X and Y in my mind, whereas color you have RGB. So you mesh that, but you'll need to reach into the other chunks. But do I? I mean, we could just say that the mesh, the seams on the chunks, we don't try to optimize them, you know? Oh, you're only doing it on the mesh side. Is this multiplayer? Yes, it is multiplayer. Usually the block data starts to get much bigger, and you need to break it down as well. So the mesh data shouldn't ever get that big, because this isn't, you know, a infinite world Minecraft style thing. This is you just are creating these little worlds yourself, and then existing in them. There will be a limit on how big you can build the world. There will be a point where you have to stop. I don't envision any sort of infinite thing going on. Phil Du says, maybe I misinterpreted something on your render doc thing. I thought I saw each vertex had tangent by tangent normal info. So maybe there was some other thing that had that info, but on the meshes coming out of the mesh optimizer, they do not. We are not adding any tangents or any of that stuff because we're not doing normal maps, which I think is the primary use case for tangents, right? To do a normal map. Where's the mesh optimizer? So the mesh optimizer, or actually no, this is in the mesh voxel type. We are only setting a vertex normal, a vertex color, and then the vertex itself. That's the only data that we're putting on the optimized meshes. Since the other meshes can come from like Godot primitives, there might be UV information on the original, but we're not copying that over. We're only taking the normal color and vertex. Anyway, geez, we only have 10 minutes. What can we do in 10 minutes? Well, we can see how far we can get on making this work somewhat with the small grid. Because that might take a while, I'm actually going to commit this stuff. So add face exclusions to make meshing mesh voxel types generic. And now we're actually going to use that for the voxels on the small grid. Boss MB Gaming, when using the brush tool, you could disable optimize until you're finished drawing the block. Yeah, I assume that the lag was due to trying to optimize the 80. I don't know how many blocks at once. Yep. Yeah, so Definitely, like, it would make sense to optimize some and not optimize others. So, like, I could have the preview that gets drawn when you're using the tool not be passed through the mesh optimizer, and then have the mesh optimizer only run when it's finished. That is absolutely a thing I should do. Right now, we can't do it because we implemented this, we'll say, temporary way of using the mesh optimizer, which is that we have everything go through the mesh optimizer, whereas what we will want in the future is a way to create voxel objects in the world that are optimized and some that are unoptimized. But that's coming. That's coming later. Hey, MC Goomp! Welcome to the stream, Chesh! And what was I doing? Okay, I need to go to the create primitive voxel library. Okay, so here we have a cube mesh, the little cube, which we are creating basically the same way as the big cube, so we can copy that code. MC Goomp, are you using GDScript or C#? I'm using GDScript, but the plan is to use GDScript and C++ in the end. When I get to the real version of the game. Right now I'm still figuring out what the game is. So we added that here. And this needs to go here. I also noticed that we are not setting an orientation type. Oh, and we need to deal with orientation as a thing. But yeah, we're not setting an orientation type on the small cube voxel, which we should. I probably just forgot to add it when I added the whole idea of orientation type. Because a cube cannot be orientated, because it's the same on all sides. Cool, so now we have these different voxels. So we have the half voxel type, the diagonal sliced voxel type, and the mini cube voxel type. And we need to set the face exclusions on all of them so that they can get optimized. This is going to be interesting. I guess we can look in the code that actually creates these to be able to tell which faces are which. So this goes front, back, left, right, top, bottom, which is different than this one, which goes front, back, right, left, top, bottom, instead of left, right. Right? Left, right, yeah. And as a half voxel, the rules for what can be omitted are going to be different. So for the, which face is the, okay, I think the back face is the one that's flush with the side of the voxel. So that one will be normal. The front face, though, we can only hide if the front sides, top and bottom, are covered. And we have to make sure that our logic with the bit flags will accommodate setting multiple bit flags in here. So that will look like, I'm just going to copy and paste this and start there. So the back, hang on, so which back is faces 2 and 3, which is the same as this one. And then, yeah, so that works the same way. Right, left should also work the same way. If something's completely flush with those, it's gone. The top and the bottom should work the same way. It's really just that front face that is now a problem. So let me just make sure these are in the right order. So left, right are reversed. It goes top, bottom. So up here, I just need to flip left, right. Right. And then the front is going to get interesting. So for the front to be omitted, we need to have something on the front, left, right, top and bottom, to completely cover up this space, because if any of those are open, you should still be able to see that face, theoretically. So we need to OR together a whole lot of bit flags. Voxel type neighbor bit. We'll start with top. Voxel type neighbor bit bottom. Voxel type neighbor bit left. Voxel type neighbor bit right. And we just copy this there. Now, does our logic over in the mesh optimizer do what I want it to do here? So this will set all of these flags to 1. And so in our mesh optimizer, not the mesh optimizer, this would be mesh voxel type. The check that it is doing is it is taking this mask, anding it with the neighbors. So if we AND it with the neighbors, that means that if only one of those bits is set, not all of them, if only one of those bits is set, it will still come out true, right? It'll still come out non-zero, which isn't what we want, right? We want to make it so that all of those bits have to be set. So what Boolean operation do we need there? Or wait, no, maybe this does work anyway. Hang on, because we have this not here. Let me wrap my mind around this. So if AND with the neighbors has all of the neighbors, it will come out positive, and then we say not that, we copy the face. But if only one of the neighbors is set, we will still come out 1 or non-zero, I guess. And so then we not that, or no, oh my god, I might have to draw a table, a Boolean table here. Okay, so the way that this works currently is we say if we take the neighbors, so we'll say there's a neighbor on the top. If our exclusion mask is neighbor on the top, this will come out to 1. And so we say not 1, we don't copy it, right? Now, if the exclusion mask is top and bottom, but neighbors only has top, if neighbors only has top, will still come out non-zero, so Boolean true. And so it will still be omitted. That's not what we want. We want something more like if neighbors and exclusion mask equals exclusion mask, right? We need to get the whole mask, but it might actually be not equals because we're doing the not. Let me think this through for a second. So if neighbors has if exclusion mask is top and bottom and neighbors only has top, we will end up with a non-zero number, but it will not equal the exclusion mask. This will be false. And because it is false, we want it to is that right? Jeez. So if okay. If the neighbors has top and bottom, maybe I need to draw this out. I need to draw this out. Not with a table. We're not gonna do this with a table. Yeah. Oh, Spimort, welcome to the stream. You're here at the very end, Spimort. Oh, and you got a really plain dude. Sean Sill looks like he's heading out. At least that was what I got on that. Cosmic Happiness, welcome to the stream, even though this is the last minute of the stream. I'm using Ubuntu, but the window manager is called Notion. Phil Dew says, doing raw logic on stream is always tough. Yeah. All right, so let's just pretend we have 4 bit flags, and these are going to be top, bottom, left, right. Okay. Now, we're going to say if top is true, we have a neighbor at the top, and our mask is top. Anding these together gives us this, and cool. If we say not this, then we draw the face. Now, the complicated part is where we get into 2 flags, because we want, then we go not, and then we come out with draw the face. So draw the face. But if we have neighbors like this, and the mask, here I'll label these N and M, the mask is this, then it will AND into, again, 1000, which isn't what we want, right? Because that will omit the face when we shouldn't omit the face. We should only omit it if both of those are set. So the logic I just wrote, hang on. The logic I just wrote, let's just look at this one first, has neighbors and exclusion mask, produces this. This does not equal exclusion mask. Does not equal exclusion mask, so we draw it. Brilliant. That's what we want to happen. Now on this one, we're going to pretend that we have exactly the right neighbors set, right? So this comes out when we AND them together to this, which these two do equal each other. So in this code, we say if it does not equal that a value, it's the false, so we omit the face. Beautiful. Now the last case we need to account for here is if we have all of the right flags, but also some extra neighbor flags. So like this, or are ANDed with this, comes out again to the 1100, which equals this, and our logic is if these two things do not equal each other, we draw the face. If they do equal each other, we omit the face, and we want to omit the face there. I think this logic is right. I hope. Let's see if anyone's correcting me over in the comments here. The GBO, Notion window manager? Never heard of it. Yeah, there's no reason you would have. It's a fork of an older window manager called Ion, which I've been using, either Ion or Notion, since the year 2001. I think it was 2001. Might have been 2000, but I think 2001. And at some point, the maintainer of Ion like rage quit open source, and so there's a bunch of forks, and the fork that I use is Notion. I've been considering switching to i3 because it looks more modern, at least as far as these things go. Spimort, I've watched your YouTube videos first time in live stream. Well, welcome. Sorry you made it so late, but thanks for coming. Boss MB Gaming implement, but could be used as a fallback for the half-block primitives and the prisms and such. Oh, I missed this other thing you put up here. That's why I'm not understanding what you're saying. So is there some way you could check if the face of each voxel's mesh is intersecting with another and optimize using the intersection of mesh faces? I don't know if this would probably be way more difficult to do. So logically, that is a sound thing to do, right? Saying if we have faces that have all overlapping vertices, we eliminate them. Practically, it's harder to do because we would need we can't go to each face. We can't loop over every face and then loop over every other face and say, hey, are these overlapping? Practically, we need some way to find those overlapping faces quicker than that. Because if you're doing 2 loops, is that exponential? That's exponential growth to the number of faces that we have, and that's not good. We need linear growth, or ideally like logarithmic growth, or one of the smaller O's, one of the smaller O types, if you're familiar with that O notation for describing algorithms. And maybe there's a way to do that. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't have an idea. But yeah, if we could do that efficiently, then yes, that would be a good way to do it. By the way, I hope you enjoyed your break last week, though I must say I missed watching your stream. I always learn something new. Yeah, I did enjoy my break. I went by my pa. Me and my daughters went for the 4th of July weekend. We saw the parade in the city my pa lives in and saw the fireworks and everything. It was good. Okay, I gotta get going, guys. Thanks everyone for coming. I think what we have here is going to take us forward. I'm happy that we actually got some things that more or less work on this stream as opposed to last stream where it just kind of ended with a dud. But yeah, look forward to talking to you all later. Come join the Discord and hang out. Otherwise, I will chat with you on the next stream next week. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.